Hi, everybody, and welcome to Lesson 11 of Head Start Data Essentials. This is going to be essentially, at least this learning block is, a review of thinking about the examples that you've just watched. You've seen a bunch of them together, giving you lots of different ways that data is applied. Not just conceptually, what is data transparency, what is data quality, but what does it look like when you're actually doing a project that involves all these different things in a real Head Start program. We had more examples even than the ones you saw. We just had to go with a few of them in order to make sure that we were sticking with the time that we had. But one of the great things about this then is that it really leads to a world in which you can bring these ideas back to your program. And the idea in a class like this is that you'll bring things back that you can really apply in a good way. And thinking about that, then you have to think about, okay, well, no two programs in Head Start are the same. All the recipients are different. The size, in terms of just the number of kids that you're working with, ranges widely. There's lots of different kinds of organizations, from school districts, county offices of education, to nonprofit organizations. And the local knowledge about your organization in your area is key to really knowing how to use data and apply some of these ideas to your specific program in your area. We also have a lot of different roles in Head Start, and role will help define what exactly you're doing with all the data that you have and all the projects that you can launch. If you're a member of line staff, you're obviously in a different situation from people who are executive directors. And there's a whole bunch of people in between those two levels. And whether you're a supervisor, a manager, a content lead, an executive director, or a member of line staff, there's a lot of different things going on in the world of data for you. And you want to think about, like, okay, what does it mean for me in my role to be involved in data? We know that everyone in Head Start is a data person. We can go back to data basics, and there's a lot of revolving around that. And one of the things, hopefully, that you've seen here in Head Start Data Essentials is an expansion on that, how everybody's working with data. Best practice around data is inclusive. You see that again and again in the examples. Success came in large part because a team effort was put forward. Lots of different people came in to participate, and everyone had a role in using data well. It wasn't just the executive director dictating it. In fact, when the executive director dictated it, that was one of the areas where they ran into a lot more obstacles. When people were brought in, when line staff were brought in to talk about what they do and how they do it and how it could be made better, that was where the biggest successes took place. And this is a big deal because while we're all data people, we're all data people in training, and we're always going to be learning and developing. Getting comfortable using data, talking about data, thinking about data in a quality improvement framework, it's going to take time. You're not going to just throw a switch and have that be the case. Building a culture of data takes time because it's not just you as an individual, it's you as a person among lots of other people in an organization, all trying to do this, and you're all learning as you go. These are new standards, new changes. Everybody's figuring out, how do we move forward? It's why you're in a class like this. You're trying to get those skills, and hopefully seeing some of those examples has really helped. But it's going to take time and effort. There's no way around this. You're going to be developing new skills. Think about those stories you were hearing, and think about how many people were taking things that they already knew about, things that they were already comfortable with, they were already experts with, and thinking about them in new ways. These are the application of new skills around data. Thinking about, how can I ask questions and then align my question to the type of work that I'm doing? And then how can I figure out what I need to do it better? These are all different pieces that come together in this way. Learning how to talk about what you're doing with this world of data embedded in it in a comfortable and natural way is tricky. Shifting the thinking about data that goes on within Head Start as a whole, but in your organization and just in your daily life, it's going to take time to do that. It's a long run thing. And by time, we're talking about years, not weeks or months, because it's really important that you pull everything together. Okay, weeks or months. How do I actually go about doing that? Well, if we look at the examples that we just saw, think about things that recurred, Several different content areas were there, lots of different kind of data. The organizations were very different from one another, and they had very different starting points in many cases. But there's patterns of best practice that you can look in there and you can see that link to the ideas we have. Starting with a question or a puzzle is a great place to look. I'm doing a family screening tool for strengths and needs, and it tells me everybody's strong. But to qualify for our program, you have to be at the poverty rate, and we're in a place that's really rural, and there's should be lots of challenges. So how is everybody strong? Something like that. Or we've invested an enormous amount of time and effort into our coaching around class, and yet the scores haven't really changed the way we were expecting them to see. These are all questions and puzzles, and examining what you know helps you take the next step. And then get a team of people together to help so that you can bring in that inclusive group to talk about what's going on. But focus on why you are doing what you're doing. Don't get caught up in the data. The data is a tool. The data is information to help you do what you need to do. It's not the end all be all. One of the things we saw is they had data, but the data didn't reflect reality. It was of low data quality, and fixing that data quality was a big piece of what they were doing. Always thinking about the people side of that data, because then that engages the workflow. The flow of work gives you lots of opportunities for improvement, particularly in areas like data quality, but you have to bring people together to help you. You have to basically look at this and say, throughout the workflow, what's actually happening? We saw this multiple times where they didn't have a written guide, and so they were doing it the way they thought best at each individual location. Well, it turned out that was different. Bringing everybody from all the different locations together, they all talked about what they did, and they realized, hey, it's different, but we can fix that if we make a usable guide. Always remember the people. People are doing the work. When you find these win-wins, like, hey, if we just had a guide, it would make all our lives easier, and we don't have to worry about making phone calls and asking questions because most of those questions are already answered. It saves everyone time. It makes the data of higher quality. It's a win-win moment. But you have to be transparent about it. You have to be honest about it. And there's a two-way here, a two-dimensional direction of travel for this transparency. If you are a manager or supervisor, you have to let people know what's going on. You have to be able to share that with them. But if you're line staff, the majority of the people taking this class, it also means telling people what actually is and not what you think they want to hear. A lot of times when someone who's higher up the chain says, tell me about this, it's not always clear that they really want the honest answer. But when we talk about data quality and transparency, it has to be an honest answer, even sometimes when those answers are painful. So always remember the people. Don't be afraid to make that contribution. Add your expertise and be open to positive change. When someone says we want to make these changes, be a contributor and help them do that so that the change is not just good from what it looks like in a boardroom, but good in the day that it's practiced every day in your program. And when you make those kind of contributions and when you engage with that, it can be very helpful and get those win-win moments rolling for everybody. And ultimately, that's going to help us do what we're all really here for, which is to make the lives of children and families better.